The following episode can be viewed on the YouTube channel Bernie or Bust Television.
Good morning, USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernie or Bust Show. It's the morning after the debates, and it looks like we need to deliver the death blow. The Bernie or Bust army needs to step it up right about now, because over the next few months, even the next few weeks, there's much to do if we're going to do our part in making sure that Bernie gets enough delegates to the convention to get 50% plus one. All right, pull up a chair, folks. This is how we're going to do it. In a new ABC News/Washington Post poll, we have a sharp change in people's views of electability. The Southern firewall is about to disappear. Everything is changing right now as we speak. Bloomberg is in the race to try to correct this problem because Biden is absolutely tanking. Bernie Sanders has soared and Joe Biden has crashed in national preferences for the Democratic nomination for president, while the Iowa caucuses and New Hampshire primary helped to clear some running room for a candidate who's not yet been on the ballot, Mike Bloomberg. Sanders advanced to 32% support among Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents in the latest ABC News/Washington Post poll, up 8 percentage points from late January. Biden fell to 17%, down 11 points to his lowest of the campaign. And Bloomberg, who takes the stage for the first time in last night's debate in Nevada, now has 14% support, up 6 points. If you look at this graph, you see Bernie's rise here in this red, and you see Bloomberg rising at exactly the same angle. And then you look at Biden, he is dropping at the inverse angle, almost, as Bloomberg is rising. So Biden's loss is Bloomberg's gain. And so Bloomberg is an opportunist. He's looking for a way to take advantage of the tanking of Joe Biden's candidacy. All of the candidates on the debate stage last night were there for one reason: to take down Bernie Sanders. So Bernie is up there as the only person who can defeat Donald Trump. Everyone else knows it. And so their job is to make sure that he doesn't defeat Donald Trump, because the donor class would much rather have Donald Trump than Bernie. We've said that over and over. But it's becoming more and more obvious to people. And so if that's true, and everyone else is in it to lose to Donald Trump, then all of those electability people, all of the middle class, moderate, somewhat, I would even call them conservatives or right-wingers, the right-wing Democrat, comfortable suburbanites, they really do want to defeat Donald Trump. And so when we look at the Southern firewall, when we look at rich assholes for Biden, who are rich assholes for Bloomberg now, what we're seeing is that they really do want to defeat Donald Trump. And once we show everyone, whether they like us for it or not, once we show everyone that it isn't going to work with Bloomberg either, that it certainly won't work with Mayor Cheat or Wine Cave Warren, then what we've got is dawning realization that there isn't any point in even going to the primary election unless you're going to vote for Bernie. The new polling shows that Bernie is leading Biden and Bloomberg among moderates. And there are even people who are saying in polls that Bernie is too conservative for them. What this shows you, if Bernie is the leading candidate among moderates, is that it's over. Everyone's figured this out. There isn't anything left the oligarchs can throw at us other than Bloomberg, and he's not going to work out either. Everybody took Bloomberg on last night, and he's bleeding and bruised right now. But all of this gloating has to be measured, because Bernie's polling doesn't indicate that he'll get 50% in the convention. It's closer to 32% right now of the delegates. That's just a rough guess. I'm not trying to equivocate the delegates to the percentage where he's leading in polls, but that's a rough ballpark guess. It is pretty clear to Nate Silver and other analysts that Bernie isn't going to get 50% in the convention unless something changes. So we are pretty sure that Bernie's going to go into the convention with a big lead over the nearest people. But what we need to do is ensure that no one else even gets delegates. So here's the plan, Stans. Oh, before I reveal the plan, Stans, we need to look at a survey of some of the headlines this morning. Bernie Sanders leads nationwide among Black, Hispanic, Asian, and white voters poll. That's the first time that's happened. That's a Newsweek article. Here is The Hill Rising. Shock poll. Sanders leads with African American voters for the first time. ABC News Radio. Poll. Sanders and Bloomberg rise. Biden falls with sharp shifts in views of electability. So people are starting to realize that electability is a myth when it comes to Joe Biden, and they will soon realize it with Bloomberg, as long as Bernie's Twitter army does its job. All right, so if you're following this show, you probably are tuned into alternative media sources. You probably realize that Bernie is cranking. So this is the plan to make sure that he keeps cranking and that the idea of electability doesn't swing over to Bloomberg. This article I mentioned earlier, 10 million signed the Bernie or Bust pledge in a single day. Establishment freaks out. This is an Onion type article. This is satire because we don't have 10 million, but we do want to freak out the establishment, and we could get a million signers in a day. Who knows? Maybe we will get 10 million if the DNC does something extremely heinous. It's hard to imagine them getting more heinous, but if they do something that wakes up the Bernie army to the point where they say, enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust. Enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust. Enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust. Can you hear that in Milwaukee? I have a pretty loud voice. I imagine that I could get something like that started in Milwaukee if you're there to help me. Let's do this. Every time they fuck with us, someone new signs the pledge and doubles their monthly recurring campaign contribution to Bernie Sanders. If we have a staggering number of people on Twitter proclaim that enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust, our work is done. It's self-evident that if there is a huge number of busters, it's over. There's no electability argument for anyone else. Dem-leaning voters absolutely want to defeat Trump. The Southern firewall will disappear. It won't even matter if pollsters and pundits refuse to verify the claim of how many Bernie or busters or Bernie or Trumpers there actually are. If Bernie's army solidly screams this message on social media throughout the next couple of months, nobody else will get delegates in any of the primary states. Enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust. Enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust. Enough is enough, we're Bernie or bust. Sing it with me. So please share this message broadly, as I always tell you. Go on Twitter, start to tweet the fuck out of this one. Let's go, people. Get on board the Bernie or bust train. Come get on board the Bernie or bust train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Go get on board the Bernie or bust train.
The preceding episode can be viewed on the YouTube channel Bernie or Bust Television.